While bud break and leaf fall constitute the official beginning and end of the growing season, in many ways the season never ends. In the winter, the largest job is dormant pruning. You can prune any time after leaf fall, but we like to wait until the vines are sleeping soundly. This time of year, we're also finishing and bottling last season's wines, but when it snows, the mind inevitably turns to pruning. Snow makes any outdoor task seem more significant and the satisfaction of finishing it more earned. The crunch of the snow under your boots evokes childhood stories of polar explorers, and while Virginia never truly feels Arctic, it's fun to imagine you are braving the elements to give these vines their best start. Snow is also super pretty, so that's something. Hi, I'm Carl Hamsch, grape grower and winemaker at Loving Cup Vineyard and Winery, the only certified organic vineyard in Virginia. We're located in Albemarle County, in the Monticello AVA, in Central Virginia. Today I wanted to talk to you about the basics of dormant pruning on grapevines. And the first thing we should do is check our kit and make sure we have everything that we need. So we'll start with a pair of anvil pruners. These are Vescos. A pair of bypass pruners. These are Felco 10s. Small loppers for any large cuts of old wood. These are 200s by Felco. Pocket knife, you should always have one of those. Sharpening tool for your pruners. A bucket for taking out dead material that might be too big to chop up, and a wound sealant that we make ourselves. Now that we have everything we need, let's go take a look at a vine and see if we can figure out what to do with it. This is a small planting that we have near the winery. It's what we call the test block. These are 5-year-old Cayuga white vines on their own roots. They're planted 3 feet apart. The vegetative growth in the summertime is held in check by the tight spacing of the vines and the fact that they're not grafted. So growth is fairly orderly and things are fairly straightforward for pruning. It's not a huge jungly mess. The new cane pruning system that I am still trying to learn, called conservation pruning, has us renewing on the outsides of the vines with spurs facing out, as opposed to the cane pruning system that I initially learned, which is always coming back to the middle. So this still requires me to think more about it than perhaps it would if I'd been doing this system for 10 years. But essentially the first thing we do is we look for what would be ideally our spurs, which would be facing out and would be underneath the canes that we lay down. In this case, this would be a decent spur. If you don't have both a spur and a cane to lay down option, then you just lop the stuff off the top, and that what would be your spur becomes your cane, and then the following year it'll be your spur. So we have, we want canes going in both directions. We have, this one is a pretty good choice as a spur. I think I might lay that down as a cane. And down over here, this is a little low, but I'm gonna keep it because it's nice and hardened off, and we'll lay this down as the spur. So I have a pair of anvil pruners that I will use to remove most of what I'm gonna get rid of. Anvil pruners are just easier to squeeze. I have the bypass pruners for flush cuts because the blade is right at the edge of the anvil. You're able to snug that up and really make a nice cut on it. If you have dead wood, sacrificial wood from the previous year, you want to get rid of that at this stage as well. You see I left sacrificial wood here so that as the vine desiccates, it does not go into the part of the wood that I'm trying to save. Rough principle is 1.5 to 2 times the diameter of the wound is how much sacrificial wood you leave for 2-year-old wood. It's a larger factor if it's older wood. So I'm going to remove that, make a nice flush cut on that. We'll make a spur on this, and this will be the cane that I am for right now going to leave untouched. Now on this side of the vine, here will be the spur that I leave. This will be the cane that I leave, so I'm going to get rid of all this other stuff. That was actually 3-year-old wood, and I'm going to come in here and remove that. This in the middle, I don't want anything in the middle with this conservation pruning, so we're going to get rid of that. Nice flush cut. All right, So under normal circumstances, I would now just walk away from this vine. I leave the canes long. We shorten them in a couple of months right before spring. You can certainly pull these off now, but I find it as a distraction. I like to get in the mindset of thinking about the shape of the vine and then thoughtlessly go through later when I have, a book on tape playing in my ear, and then just pull this stuff out of the trellis. Before we leave this vine here, we're going to use the wound sealant on all of the fresh cuts. This is a wound sealant that we make ourselves from Omri certified stylet oil and some certified organic beeswax. Because the Vineyard is certified organic, all farm inputs also have to be approved for use. We used to use this product called Crop Seal, but they went out of business, so I kept the containers and then made the Crop Seal on my own from the ingredients that they used to make that product. So that's all done, and we're ready to move on to the next vine. For the purpose, though, of seeing what we've done here, let me pull some of this stuff out of here so that you can see what the vine will ultimately look like in a week's time. Okay, so all I've left here are these canes, and then you have these spurs. Each of these canes will be laid down going in that direction here. Okay, I might probably come in shorten this. I don't like how long that is, and if I pay attention, I got a bud here and a bud here. But that's a decision for another day. Okay, let's do this vine here. So this is fairly high, but it's okay. This is better height off the fruiting wire, but it is dead. So, and this on this side, this is 2 trunks. So this is not a great trunk for me, whereas this one is better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cane out of this, and I'm going to make a spur out of this. The spur should always be below the cane. As sap is coming to supply the cane, it passes by the spur, and then you get 100% break on those buds. So I'm gonna spur that, and I'm going to get rid of this stuff here. And I'll remove that so you can see what we're doing. That'll be the cane that I leave behind. Next year it'll eventually get tied down over here, and this is not great, but I think that's going to have to be my cane. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're going to lay down this one. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this just to get it out of here. If you find any dead wood or diseased wood, that's what the bucket's for. Here is sacrificial wood from the following year, so we're going to cut that off. And I have sacrificial wood from last year. We're going to cut that off. If you don't remove it, you could get splitting. There's also some pathogens that survive on dead material, and then that might infect your clusters. So it's good practice to always remove the dead wood. And then this will of course go. And so this is your cane that you'll lay down. This is your cane that you'll lay down in a couple months' time. A separate pass, so we'll make 3 passes. One is to make these initial decisions and these cuts. The second will be to come through and shorten, and then pull that material out. And then possibly, if we don't do it on the that time, there's a third pass where we take tube tie and we actually tie the canes down on the wire, so that the grapes, so all the green shoots will originate from one area, and all the clusters will hang down in one area, and that's how you get a zone of fruit by having a horizontal fruit zone that is made by tying down your fruiting wood to a horizontal wire. So that's it for pruning for today, and on future days we will take these vines to the next steps, and you can see how these vines progress.